Gang.
Council workshop meeting, Monday, April 3rd, 2023, 6:05 p.m. Baer,
Here.
Briggs,
Here.
Coulter, Hydrich, Holtmeyer,
Here.
Patke,
Here.
Reed,
Yep.
Wessels.
Yeah.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We got a side.
Before we start, you guys, I've got Troop 462 from the VFW here. You guys are going to lead us. They are working on their communication badges.
Come on up to the front, guys.
Yes, and to the citizenship to community. Welcome, fellas.
If in uniform salute, if not hand over heart, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. No, yet. I don't.
Will all the committee members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the meeting dated March 6, 2023? Baer,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Reed,
Yeah.
Wessels.
Aye.
I need a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Report of department heads, Administration Department, Northern Star Homes LLC purchase agreement.
We're doing presentations next.
Okay. The first item you've got is Northern Star Homes purchase agreement. John, if you can get that up on the thing while we're discussing it. Back in the mid-'80s, as the city was planning to grow, at that time, it was identified that there would be an east-west parkway roadway that would benefit the community by going east to west and showing a route basically from Highway 100, utilizing High Street going south to Highway A. It would intersect somewhere with Highway A, approximately at Country Club Road, continue to go east until it got to Highway 47, approximately where the Clay Camp Farm is located, and then continue east towards Beaker Road, and then from Beaker Road over to South Point Road. And John's going to show the graphic and pull that up for you in a second. But with that, it was further identified in the late 90s. The city paid for a study to go ahead and identify it even further. And there's the first graphic. Thank you, John. Item number 15 is that road that goes all the way through, as I said, going on the left-hand side of that graphic, going from High Street, coming down, crossing A, and then going all the way over, crossing 47, and then eventually crossing Beaker all the way over to South Point. So the city had made plans for this roadway, and what we have done is we had an agreement with the county that any time that there would be any type of development that might occur before it was adjacent to our city limits, that they would provide us that information so that the city would have the opportunity to do whatever it needed to do to secure the right-of-way for this roadway. And so, in this case, what we have is that they are, the owners, Northern Star Homes, are purchasing a piece of property from Roger Koch. It's part of the Koch farms that were down there. This was not a piece, though, that was up for auction at that time. If you'll remember, there was an auction. I can't remember when that was. There was several parts of that Koch farm, 21. And this was not a part of that. But now they are looking to go ahead and sell to Northern Star Homes, and they approached us with the development that they'd like to go ahead and do. We told them about the East-West Parkway roadway and about what the city's goals were for that. They came back to us with a revised site plan, and John had a copy of that that's within your packet. And I apologize, it looks a little warped right there, a little skewed. They tried to get it on 8.5 by 11. It's not that big of a curve, trust me. But it does go around, or tries to deal with that hillside that you're seeing there. To the north of that would be their access to go into from the Koch farm, tie into the Clay Camp farm. And what the agreement, what you have before you tonight, is that they would go ahead dedicate the right-of-way to the city, what you can see, because that would benefit their development as well. The city would go ahead and build the roadway. It'd be 40 feet wide. It's two 12-foot driving lanes and two 8-foot shoulders. That's for now. It would have the capacity to go ahead and be widened, which is what the specs were for the East-West Parkway roadway to begin with, where you'd have another center turn lane at a later date that you could go ahead and easily add. And one of the challenges that we had with this was, in order to keep it at a 7% grade and not run into a lot of development costs with the roadway, was to go around that hillside. If you knock into that hillside, you're going to be spending money on a retaining wall, and that was a concern that we had. And so we went back to the developer and asked them to go ahead and revisit that and go around that that hill, basically. And in essence, what we would do is we would purchase. It made more sense for us to go ahead and purchase the property outright from them, everything south of the right-of-way. What the city can do then in the future is, if they want to, as that roadway begins to see more development, the city could go ahead and also sell off that property then at a later date. And what you have is, on this graphic, the heavy gray that you see, that is where the roadway would be built to. And then the rest of it would just be dedicated right-of-way going to the east. John, if you could pull up a aerial so that they can go ahead and get a picture of that. Thank you. No problem.
I was gonna ask for that.
Yep, no problem. And so essentially what you see is, if some of you remember, Beaker Road was, the curve was taken out of that roadway probably about 15 years ago. And then the portion that you see, Coke's barn down there, is what you see where the roadway would go. And you can kind of see that hillside even on this graphic. If you can blow that up a little bit more, John. There you go. And so there's that hillside that you're seeing right there.
So what
So
is
it's
there
working
now?
around
Is
there.
that just
That's
a
just,
driveway?
that's just a driveway that goes into the farm. There you go. That's what's there now.
So if you go back to the.
Isn't that the first curve we fixed as well? I mean,
The
close,
city didn't, at the time, the Special Road District did. They
Okay.
used the, I don't know, they were called Obama funds back in the day.
Yeah, I
There
see
was a
it now,
stimulus
don't I?
bill that was given, but yes, they used those funds to go
They
ahead.
replaced that old stone bridge.
right,
Correct.
Right here, and then it just.
And they vacated that right away, and I think Cokes took that over.
gotcha.
So in the scope of the actual East-West Parkway, what we're looking at here,
This portion from there,
from here to here. So this is actually more realistic of what that curve will look like. It just got distorted in the scan, so it's not that
drastic.
prominent yet.
Well, real quick, the curve is designed, horizontal length, designed for 40 miles an hour. So, just, not that that means anything to you, but it's not like a crazy curve like you saw on that.
If it continues as planned, where would this hit South Point Road?
This
By
would-
Goose
this-
Mill or?
A little
below
bit
that?
south of Goods Mill,
Okay,
You
all
can kind
right,
of see where.
that intersection.
So here's Goods Mill, here's.
Yes.
all right, okay.
But, yeah, so it'll stub right at the edge of this property, and it opens up, like we were saying, all of this.
So we had brought this to you in executive session to discuss this and start, at the time, we had, the only thing we didn't have was the cost of the retaining wall. And so once we got more engineering done and showed us true cost of that, it made more sense to go ahead and just outright buy that from them, move that roadway up to the north and purchase that, rather than sit there and pay for a retaining wall. Again, at least what you can do is go ahead and sell that property off, part of that property, that 8.78 acres that you're buying, and sell that off for a future development, but the city could hold on to it until that time.
Is that 8 acres, is that currently in city limits?
It will be.
It will be, yes. When he closes on it, and we close on it, the Clay Camp Farm and the Coke Farm will be petitioned for voluntary annexation.
The retaining wall Darren's alluded to, it approaches $350,000, $375,000 probably for that retaining wall. So when you start looking at cost of ground, it's better just to move the road.
You're better off buying raw ground than you are buying the retaining wall.
What do you need from us?
motion and, a motion and second to move on to council.
Is anything else different than what we talked about in executive session?
The only thing that's different is you would not, I think at that time we discussed the possibility of that they would pay for it and then get rebates back as homes were. We looked at it as that this was a little bit cleaner than doing that approach. We know that they're gonna go ahead and develop it because they need the second access into the development, so it just made more sense to be cleaner and just do it this way.
So this road where, essentially where the barn's at now, you'll be able to turn off of Beaker Road onto this and go to the future development.
Yes.
And then as the